Footsteps echoed on concrete. Back, forth, back, forth. A man was pacing in the back corridor of Cleveland Municipal Stadium, against the wall, hands in his pockets, jaw clenched. A single fluorescent light flickered overhead, stretching and shrinking shadows, washing his face in light one moment, drowning it in darkness the next. I'd been hauling cables through these corridors for 17 years. I'd seen Hendrix, I'd seen Dylan. But that night was different. The man stopped, leaned against the wall, held his breath, Bruce Springsteen. And I had no idea I was about to witness the most humiliating night of a legend's life. At the end of the corridor, a bulb was blinking, erratic, like a sick heart. The walls were concrete gray, the floors scuffed, the ceiling low. The ugly truth behind a stadium's grand facade. Sweat beaded on Springsteen's forehead, not from the stage lights, from pure fear. His lips were moving, silently, a prayer or a set list, who could tell? His fingers kept gripping an invisible guitar neck, then letting go, gripping, letting go. That night would last 7 hours, 68 songs, 57,000 people, and Bruce was about to share a stage with his childhood hero, Chuck Berry. He lit a cigarette. His hands were shaking. The match went out 3 times in the windless corridor. Smoke filled his lungs, bitter, sharp, familiar. He closed his eyes, and the memories came flooding back. 1973, University of Maryland. 22 years ago. Bruce was only 23, a name nobody knew. That night he'd played behind Berry. First time, last time, or so he thought. 5 minutes before they hit the stage, Berry showed up, alone, guitar case in hand. Bruce asked eagerly, "What songs are we playing?" Berry shrugged. "Chuck Berry songs, kid." Nothing more. And when they got on stage, Bruce tried a solo, his own style, flashy, young. Berry turned down his guitar, looked him dead in the eyes. Only Chuck Berry plays Chuck Berry licks. 5 words. 5 knives. 22 years had passed, but the wound was still fresh, still bleeding. Cigarette ash fell to the floor. Bruce opened his eyes. He was 46 now. A name. A legend in his own right. But in this corridor, on this night, he felt like that 23-year-old kid again. Vulnerable. Small. An old poster hung on the corridor wall. Faded colors, curled edges. Berry's 1958 concert. The same smile, the same teeth, the same eyes. A poster just like it used to hang in his bedroom back in New Jersey. Every morning that smile was the first thing he saw. Now he was about to come face to face with that same smile. A dream? A nightmare? Did it even matter anymore? A commotion in the green room. The door cracked open. Perfume drifted in. Vanilla and lavender, briefly overpowering the corridor's smell of sweat. Bruce's girlfriend. I won't say her name. She wasn't at the center of this story, but her impact was undeniable. Blonde hair, calm smile, her heels clicked on concrete, each step a tiny melody. She walked up to Bruce, put her hand on his shoulder. "You're gonna be great," she whispered. Bruce nodded. But his eyes were somewhere else, somewhere far away. 22 years in the past. She was wrong. None of us knew what was coming. At 8 o'clock, an engine rumbled outside. Everyone turned. Berry's black Cadillac was pulling up to the stadium's back entrance. The engine cut. A moment of silence, as if the building itself was holding its breath. The driver opened the door. First the shoes, shiny, black, polished to perfection, then the legs, then that famous smile. Chuck Berry, 68 years old. But he walked with the confidence of a 25-year-old. In his hand, the red Gibson ES 355, the legendary guitar that had become his signature, the instrument he'd carry to his grave. He strode down the corridor, didn't look at anyone, eyes fixed on the stage door. Shadows danced across his face, under the fluorescent's sickly glow. But then he stopped, turned, looked at Springsteen's girlfriend. 3 seconds. Not even 3 seconds. His eyes scanned her, top to bottom, quick but deliberate, the corner of his lip curled. Not a smile, the ghost of a smile. And then he moved on. But something had started, something had cracked. Bruce didn't see it. He was staring at the set list, crumpling the edge of the paper with his fingers. Johnny B. Goode to open. Rock and roll music to close. Simple plan. Songs everyone knew, but Berry had never played by anyone's plan. A A technician approached, showed him the set list. Barry glanced at the paper, shrugged. "We'll see," he said. 2 words. His voice was like sand, rough, dry, worn by years. The technician froze, stepped back. I saw that moment. An alarm went off inside me. "We'll see," in Barry's language, meant only one thing. I do what I want. And for Springsteen, that meant disaster. When they hit the stage, the applause was like a tsunami. 57,000 people, on their feet, hands in the air, voices hoarse. When the lights hit Barry's red guitar, that gleaming instrument seemed to pulse like a heart. The spotlight was blasting the center of the stage, the edges drowning in darkness. 2 worlds side by side, light and shadow, the seen and the hidden. Bruce stood off to the side, half in shadow, clutching his guitar, eyes locked on Barry, fingers ready on the strings, breath caught in his throat. Barry stepped up to the mic, into the dead center of the light, smiled, that famous smile, teeth gleaming, eyes still in shadow, and he played the opening riff of Johnny B. Goode. The first song went according to plan. Bruce relaxed for a moment. His fingers found the right chords. His muscles loosened. The crowd went wild. The rhythm of applause swelled. Maybe everything would be fine after all. But Barry's eyes weren't on the stage. He was looking toward the wings, the gap in the curtain, and in the middle of the song, even while doing the duck walk, he turned to the woman. 1 wink, a single wink. 57,000 people didn't notice. The cameras didn't catch it. The journalists didn't write it down. Only 3 people in the world saw it. Me, Bruce, and the woman herself. 3 witnesses, 1 wink. Barry was so relaxed, so sure of himself. Right there on stage, he was hitting on his young rival's girlfriend. No regret, no hesitation. He was even enjoying it. You could tell from the curl of his lip. Bruce's jaw tightened. His fingers clamped down on the strings, so hard that a thin line of blood seeped from his index finger. But he didn't notice. He didn't feel the pain. Only rage. Only shame. Barry's smile. It first appeared in 1958, Chess Records Studio, a moment frozen in a photograph. In that photo, Barry was young, thin. His face carried the bright promise of the future. He looked innocent back then. But now, 37 years later, that same smile had become a weapon. It didn't kill anyone, but it wounded, and the wounds didn't show. The song ended. The final chord hung in the air, echoed, faded. Applause came, but Bruce didn't hear it. His eyes were on the wings, still searching for that wink. Not in the past, in the present. The woman had smiled, faint, ambiguous, open to interpretation. Was it for Barry or just the situation? I never knew. Maybe she was just trying to mask her discomfort. But Bruce thought it was meant for Barry. 1 smile, 1 assumption, and that assumption poisoned the rest of the night. As the night wore on, the stage grew crowded, shadows lengthened, cigarette smoke drifted toward the ceiling, like a blue mist. Bruce waited in the corner of the green room. 1 hour, 2 hours. He stopped counting. His hands were shaking. The woman waited backstage, watching the stage through a gap in the curtain. Who was she really looking at? The stage? The door Barry would return through? For 7 hours, that question gnawed at his mind. 7 hours later, the finale arrived. Rock and roll music was planned, a song everyone knew, simple chords, easy rhythm. Barry returned to the stage, tired but upright, still walking with that confidence. Springsteen and the E Street Band were ready. Niels Lofgren had his guitar in hand. Steven Van Zandt was in position. 7 hours, 68 songs, everyone exhausted but determined. Barry stepped up to the mic, and without any warning, without any signal, he played a completely different riff. Bruce froze. His breath caught. This song wasn't on the set list. He didn't even recognize it. His hands hung suspended over the guitar, fingers white, not knowing what to do. Barry turned and looked at him, raised an eyebrow, as if to say, "Come on, kid, figure it out." But there was no help in that look, only a test, and Bruce was failing. He bit his lip, tasted blood. A minute or 2 later, Barry changed key, without telling anyone, shifted to a completely different tone. I was watching from the edge of the stage, cable in hand, knees going numb. I saw Springsteen's face. He was being crushed by the man whose poster he'd hung on his wall as a kid. His eyes narrowed, his jaw clenched, a vein throbbed at his temple. Barry changed the riff, jumped to another key. Bruce tried a chord, wrong note. That wrong note rang out through the sound system, short, sharp, painful. 6 musicians playing in 6 different keys. Nobody could follow anyone. Bruce's hands were shaking, his shoulders slumped, a train wreck, and Barry was smiling. And right in the middle of that chaos, Barry looked toward the wings one more time. He didn't wink this time, just looked, long, slow, possessive. The woman was there. In the gap of the curtain, hands clasped, Barry's lips curled. That smile had started out innocent in 1958. Now it had become a weapon. Everything stopped for a moment. The music sounded far away, like it was coming from underwater. Bruce took a breath, his first real breath in hours. Maybe things would get better. Maybe Barry would give a signal. His fingers relaxed, his shoulders dropped. 1 second, maybe 2. The calm before the storm. 6 different keys, 6 different musicians. Nobody could sync up. And just as everyone was looking at each other in panic, Barry did something unexpected. The duck walk. But not toward center stage, toward the edge, slowly, like he was dancing. He was leaving the stage. The crowd went crazy. They thought it was his legendary move. But we knew. He was running. Niels Lofgren never forgot that moment. Chuck looked at us and duck walked right off the stage, left us standing there in 6 different keys, no leader, got in his car and drove off. I saw it. Barry exited from the edge of the stage, stepped from light into shadow, handed his guitar to a roadie, straightened his jacket, no rush in his walk, no hurry. Every step had the ease of a man who'd won. Before the darkness swallowed him, he looked toward the wings one last time. The woman was there, half in light, half in shadow, hands still clasped. Barry gave a slight nod. A farewell? An invitation? I couldn't tell. Then he disappeared into the darkness. The engine sound faded. Gone. Bruce and the band were left on stage, in front of 57,000 people. No leader. Key chaos. Bruce stood frozen. Then instinct kicked in. He played a chord. The band followed. They finished the song, but the damage was done. Applause came. Bruce knew. Niels knew. I knew. Barry's smile appeared 4 times that night. 4 smiles, 4 meanings. The first when he got out of the car, professional, prepared, a businessman's smile. The second when he first looked at the woman, brief but loaded, a hunter's smile. The third while creating chaos on stage, the smile of a child having fun, playing a game. The fourth as he duck-walked off the stage, victory, total victory. And each smile was sharper than the last, more dangerous. After the concert ended, Bruce walked to the dressing room drenched in sweat. Niels was beside him. They looked at each other and started laughing like maniacs. "We haven't played that badly since we were 14, Niels said. "And we did it at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame opening." Laugh or cry, there was no other choice. But I saw Bruce's eyes behind that laughter. Something was broken there, like cracked glass. The wink, that damn wink, wouldn't leave his mind. The woman came to the dressing room, stood in the doorway, for a moment, hesitant, on the threshold. Her fingers traced the doorframe. She looked at Bruce. Bruce looked at her, but his gaze was empty, distant. There was silence between them, heavier than words, denser. She took a step, stopped. Bruce took a breath, deep, tired. I didn't hear what they said. Even thin walls keep some secrets. But in the morning, the woman's eyes were red. Bruce's eyes were empty. Like a house that had been gutted, abandoned. And Barry? He never came back that night. The car took him away. Where? Nobody knew. He didn't deal with the wreckage, because to him there was no wreckage, just another night won. Maybe a woman he wouldn't remember by morning, 68 years old, still able to duck walk off a stage, still able to crush young rivals, still able to wink at any woman he wanted. This was his world. We just lived in it. Years later, Springsteen would describe that night in interviews as educational. One word, neutral, safe. But when he said it, his eyes drifted, left, down, away. It wasn't an education that night. It was destruction. Being crushed by your childhood poster's owner in front of 57,000 people, no music school teaches that lesson. Walking through Cleveland's corridors that night, Barry's cologne still hung in the air. Sharp, expensive, unforgettable, sandalwood and leather, the scent of old Hollywood. Springsteen's sweat had long since evaporated, vanished. A legend and a younger man had shared a stage, but the sharing wasn't equal. It never had been. The woman never talked about that night. Maybe that was the smartest thing to do. Some winks are too dangerous to write in history books. Some wounds open not on stage, but backstage. Barry's smile stayed in my mind as the final image, teeth gleaming, eyes in shadow. It started out innocent in 1958. By 1995, it had become a weapon. And one of its victims, while battling panic on stage, while wondering who his girlfriend was looking at, learned the bitterest lesson in rock and roll history. I stayed backstage that night, coiled the cables, threw away the empty cups, acted like it was a normal night. But it wasn't. I still wonder, was that wink for the woman or for Bruce? One wink, 3 seconds, 3 witnesses. Maybe it was for both, maybe for neither. Maybe Barry was just winking at himself, at his own ego that could still crush young rivals at 68. I never found out the answer. But asking the question was enough. That night became a footnote in history. The official records say, legendary performance, but the truth wasn't on stage. It was hidden backstage. And I was there, silently, among the cables. That's how witnesses to history are. Invisible, but never forgetting.